Welcome to FemStem, the podcast where we are dedicated to bridging the gender gap in STEM fields by spotlighting remarkable women making waves in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I'm your host, Risha Mehta, and today we have a very inspiring guest whose journey is not only breaking barriers but also paving the way for future generations. But before we dive into our conversation with her, let's set the stage. Manju Goyal is a trailblazer in the realm of data and analytics. With over a decade of experience as a data and analytics professional, Manju's expertise spans project management, business analyst, and data science, among other specialities. Currently, she's serving as an associate director at Olivia Wayman. Manju leads and manages a dynamic team of BI engineers, data analysts, data engineers, and data scientists, shaping the landscape of analytics with a visionary leadership. Manju, thank you so much for joining me today. Your journey is truly an inspiration, but just reading about it, and I'm even more excited to talk to you and delve into your experiences and insights.
Thanks, Prisha.
So, to start off, can you tell us more about your background in STEM?
Hi, everyone. Basically, I graduated from IIT Roorkee in chemical engineering way back. For those who don't know, IIT Roorkee is an elite institute in India. Then, post that, I did my master's in chemical engineering from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Again, a place that has a better gender balance than India, but still there was like 30% females and 70% males, something like that in my batch. And then I started my career in General Electric, water and process technologies in Singapore. I think we were around 3 females in a group of 20 males. And the reason I'm emphasizing is simply because of this. But more interestingly, my journey in STEM overall has been similar. It has always been the case that there's less females compared to males. And it's interesting that I've gotten used to it now. So if I see more females, then it's more like, oh my God, there's something not right. I'm having a bit of like difference in the way I usually work. That brings me to my next company, Infosys, where I work mostly with BHP as my client. So in BHP, I was on a project where we were all females, and that's why I brought that point up. And that was probably the only place where I worked in an all-female team. So again, wonderful experience there as well. And then I moved to India around 4 years back, where I continued to work in Infosys for BHP as my client, but no more in person. And then around 2 years ago, I moved to Oliver Wyman, where I'm currently serving as the associate director. I head the technology division there. I'm working on multiple projects involved, mostly around training all our employees, guiding them, providing the vision to get the right products into the market. And most of the people who work with me are project engineers, data engineers, data scientists, and data analysts. I think it's been a wonderful journey so far, and given any other chance, I would still choose data science as my stream. But yes, the women part of it, I'm not sure if it's solvable, but I do see that there's a gap that needs to be fulfilled at some point.
Your journey has been incredibly diverse, as you said about it. So you mentioned how you studied chemical engineering, but then now you're working in the field of data analyst. So why was the transition happen? Is there any key reason behind it?
So as a chemical engineer, I was actually a process engineer in a piloting facility in GE. A lot of the work I was doing was around data crunching, at least 50%. So, for example, it was a very physically exerting job. So, like we were in a pilot plant where it was not exactly lab, but a bigger structure, but not as big as a manufacturing plant. But we had to run it all by ourselves. So think about it. There's like three people on a project, and they're running around generating, making membranes, water purification membranes. So we were exposed to a lot of chemicals there as well. Obviously, G ensured that we were safe with all the uh, like hazmat, PPE, etc. But still, it just didn't feel right. So I thought that while we are already 50% doing data analysis, and I have an inherent love for maths, why not just move in that field?
So, as you probably know and have seen, there's a very obvious gender disbalance in the STEM fields. So, according to you, what would be some of the biggest challenges that a woman would face if she enters the field today?
In terms of challenges, right? I mean, you just have to be comfortable with the fact that there will be a gender ratio issue. So, I mean, don't treat yourself as, okay, I'm a girl, so I should be mostly among females, or or if you see a gender imbalance, which you would typically see from high school to
Yeah.
like once you are in college or just working, don't be threatened or frightened by that gender balance, and you'll do fine. And there will be times when you will see that maybe males are not as appreciative or listening, that and you might feel that okay, you're not good enough or anything, which is not the case. It is just that person's issue. And don't think of it as it's happening because you're a female versus a male. Sometimes it happens to males too, and it is just a one-off thing, and you just have to let it go and keep treading the path that you want to, and I'll say nothing can stop you.
Thank you so much for that advice. So, would you be able to describe any challenge in specific that you have went through and how you overcame it?
Challenges, so like I mentioned to you one of these things, right? So it was my first day at one of the jobs, and I think consistently in that, actually during the first month, I'd seen that what was happening was, like, no matter what you say, you would be shot down. It would be like, okay, why are you even opening your mouth? And you would still continue, be resilient. That's all. And one fine day, the client recognized that and said, okay, this needs to stop. She's saying the right thing. And it stopped. So to me, it was resilience, but I can tell you that there finally there's a path that will open up for you through one way or another. And that's something that's happened to multiple women I've talked to. It's not just me. And I'm sure it happens to males too. It's just that they're not as expressive as us.
Damn, that's quite the challenge. So that leads me to my next question, which is what strategies or initiatives a company could implement in order to promote the gender diversity that in within STEM fields?
I think that we need to make STEM itself not as much as, okay, it needs to come from childhood. I feel, first of all, that I mean, maths and science should not be made as a boys arena. And if that changes, then girls feel as much about it as boys. And I feel that's the reason I have always been in STEM. I never saw it as a males versus a females thing. And I've always studied in a co-ed school. So it was never an issue that, okay, I'm going to a place where I've never been. So I would say that societal change needs to come. And I discourage reservations of all sorts. So, like, I see that these days there are reservations in IITs, etc., for females. I feel like I feel like we should just encourage females, and as long as their parents and society helps them grow as much as males, we'll be just fine. There is no need for any other thing. Just treat them as your sons. How will there be ever a difference then?
So, what are some strengths that a woman would bring to a table that a male couldn't, which is why it is so paramount to have them within the force?
I think a woman, like females in general, will bring the softer side to the table. They are more emotional in general than males. So, what they would bring is more diversity there in a workplace, which is equally important, right?
Yeah.
And also, like being a little on the softer side, they'll be better able to connect with like your clients, other people compared to males. So I do think that they're all equal, but at the same time, we do possess our own strengths. So I think that females bring that part, though I'm a little less emotional compared to others, I would say. I have my IQ better than my EQ, which I would like to change. So, but I think females do have a better emotional quotient than men, and they do bring that extra X factor there. But for the most part, I do believe that females and males are equal and they should just be left at that.
True. Okay.
And what females will truly bring to the table are that you just have more workforce, right? You don't have 50% of the total workable workforce at homes. So that's the extra thing they'll bring. And they'll be treated the same. So think of a world in which all the high paying jobs are taken by males just because females are not enough for them. That wouldn't be a fair world. And how can we then justify that uh, all the females that are born are treated equally? So it all needs to be balanced well. And then it just comes to, so as long as you fix the foundation of things, like treat all females and males equally, everything else I think is a pyramid. It will just happen in a domino effect.
So, shifting to, focusing on your field really, what could you describe a project that you've been working on recently that's really, really exciting and has impacted someone or something in a certain way?
Sure. So I'm not sure about the impact on society, but I can definitely talk about the impact on the company, right? So I'm going to talk about the project that I most recently did for a client, where the client had multiple plants, and in those plants they had multiple production lines. So, and they were producing like different combinations of products on all those production lines. So think about it, there's around 10,000 products for whom a production schedule has to be created across multiple production lines and production plants. So the client was going through very low fill rates, which is essentially that some orders, 100 orders come in and you are only able to fulfill 50 of them. And the reason is you don't have enough products in your inventory and the entire process is not streamlined. So what I essentially did was operations research based algorithm is what we implemented for them, which helped identify what to produce, when to produce, and how much to produce, just so that you are able to meet maximum fill rate as well as you don't have as much inventory. And that literally saved over 30 to 40 million dollars at a minimum on an annual ongoing basis. So uh, I love talking about it because it has all the right components and I feel proud about it because I've recently done it. So,
Damn, that's quite an interesting project to work on. So, could you describe what the journey is like from, getting the raw data from the clients to processing it and giving an output?
sure. So, first of all, for example, in a client project, we'll talk to the client about their usual issues so that we can provide potential solutions. So let's say in this very case, right, we just studied, like did some basic data analysis on their raw data to understand like what are the real issues that are with the company. And then you get the data, you clean it up before you can even do those analysis, right? And then you come up with potential solutions. Like in my case, we came up with this production optimization schedule solution. And then once you've made such a solution, once you've decided that, okay, you're going to work on that solution, you come up with a small pilot version of things. So for in our case, we just started with one plant, one line, right? We're trying to make the problem as small and achievable as possible, and then you slowly expand it. And then I we started, cleaning up. One is clean up the data, and the second is transforming the data to extract certain features that we think are important. And then we modeled it in Python was our language. So in our case, like before modeling, we also thought about, okay, what are the potential solutions? So we looked online, or did some research. So I used some industry expertise of our own specialists to understand that, okay, what are the various things that could impact it, to come up with the right constraints that this problem has. So that all comes under modeling section, some research, some knowledge from the industry experts in house, and then actually learning that part, because continuous learning is very important in data science. You won't know everything, you can't know the world, but you should know that you'll be able to learn as you go. So then you just model it, and then after you've done the modeling, you test your model against some real data, and if you see that the results are robust, then you expand it to further more areas like we did. And lastly, we had to build a wrapper around it, because your industry, our industry experts were not ready to use a command line based model. So, and that seemed typically that would happen, that you would want to provide an easy to use interface that people can use.
So, one of the key terms that keeps coming up when we talk about data analysts is data visualization. So, can you break that down, go into a bit more detail about that?
Data visualization is essentially the most important bit. If you see, in the end, we maybe it's just in jokes, we all talk about, okay, all consultants make fancy PPTs. So the data visualization, essentially, it's not just the fancy PPTs, it's the impact that is coming out of them, that is of value to the customer, that they pay everybody for, and they know that they are getting that value. But data visualization is that fancy end of the project, where clients are continuously getting updated insights on the tip of the button for them to use. So think about it. Like typically, how would you like see your data? Maybe in an Excel file. But what happens if the data changes? What happens if you have multiple people looking at the data and updating it in the backend? You will have to update your PowerPoint or something. So that's why you store data in a SQL server, or like in any place that's jointly owned, managed by a few people. Now, if your front end, which is like a tool like Power BI or Tableau or Spotfire, is reading through that, then basically, that's a data visualization tool. Basically, it's an easy to use web interface where you can just connect to the data and get the visualizations and your end insights, format it as a website or a dashboard, and share with your end users. If I have to simplify it.
Oh, that was quite a nice explanation. So, coming to my next question is, you have been, incredibly successful. You went from IIT to MIT to working all around the globe. So, what were three things that you feel were vital in getting you to where you are today?
Um, I'll probably say this as two quotes I really believe in. One is, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you really want to make a change, you have to change yourself. And I think I believe in constant evolution and improvement. And second is, you are an average of the five people you hang out most with. I believe in hanging out with the right group, and I keep it really small and personal with them. And I think that helps you build the right connect, build the right emotional strength around you. And that helps you grow now.
Yeah,
And
it's
third, I guess, would be hard work, which I think always you have to do. Nothing comes on a silver spoon for everyone. You have to work towards it.
oh, I love those quotes so much. They're very impactful and they create so much meaning, really. So, to end of the podcast, one last question that I have for you is what advice would you give to young aspiring women like me who's trying to enter the STEM field today?
Believe in yourself. If you really want it for yourself, work towards it and you will achieve it. There's no matter how much is the gender gap or whatever,
Mhm.
if you believe in it and you work towards it, everything is achievable.
You just have to do it at the end of the day. Well, with that, we have come to an end of our podcast. Manju, thank you so, so much for sharing and coming on and giving us your time. It's been truly a very valuable conversation, and I enjoy talking to you. This is the FemStem podcast where inspiration and knowledge collides to propel us forward towards limitless possibilities. Stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you.